Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namami buddham gunasagarantam santa sada huntu sukhi avera kayo jigunjo sakalo dugando gachanti sabbe maranang ahance namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa ekayano ayam bhikkave maggo santanang visuddhiya soka parindavanang samatikkamaya dukkha domanassanang attangamaya nyayassa adhigamaya nibbānassa saccikiriyāya yadidam cantaro satipatthānāti. Homage to the exalted one, the worthy one, the supremely enlightened one. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends in Dhamma, our Monday Dhamma discussion, we are going to start here now. In this class today, I am going to explain one of the main topics in Buddhism, Satipatthana or mindfulness. There are several discourses about mindfulness in Buddhism. The main discourse comes in Digha Nikaya. It says as a name that Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the great discourse of mindfulness. Here we are going to discuss what mindfulness or Satipatthana is that Buddhism says. At the beginning, Buddha says the result of practicing mindfulness. Ekayano ayam bhikkave maggo sattahana visuddhiya. This is the only way for the purification of beings. Soka paridhavana samatikkamaya. For the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation. Dukkha domanassanang attangamaya. For the destruction of pain and grief. Nyaya sadhigamaya. For the gaining of wisdom. Nibbānassa saccikiriyāya. For the attaining of Nibbāna, which is practicing fourfold mindfulness. These are the results that Buddha has explained at the beginning of the discourse. When I start this sermon, first of all I would like to explain the gradual path, the order of Buddhist teachings. Buddha says very clearly, his message is like the ocean. Ocean deepens gradually from the beach to the deeper water. Like that Buddha says, his all teachings also like that. It gradually deepens little by little. At the beginning, Buddha explained the heavenly path, how we receive a blissful life hereafter, and also how we succeed in this immediate life. There are a lot of teachings that we can see in Buddhism. Next, Buddha has explained how we overcome suffering completely, how we attain liberation completely. This is the order of what Buddha has explained. When we discuss Buddha's message, Buddha says, from the beginning to end, we should have 4 qualifications, 4 needs that are. It says as Sotapatti Anga. Buddha says there are 4 things which are very important on the path of liberation from the beginning to end. What they are? The first one is associating good friends. Next, listening to Dhamma. Third, wise reflection, wise consideration according to what we heard. Fourth one is practice. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. We should practice according to what we heard as Sila, Samadhi, Panya, virtue, concentration and wisdom. These 4 things are very important on the path of liberation, what Buddha taught from beginning to end. When we reach the good association, we also need some qualifications. What they are? First one is we should be generous. The second one, we should have moral conduct, discipline in our speech and behavior. Third, we should have kindness or compassion to others. We should practice loving kindness, metta. These 3 things are said as 3 meritorious deeds in Buddhism: Dana, Sila and Bhavana. Little by little we are going to the deeper level of these 3 wholesome deeds. And when we associate with good friends, little by little we listen to what he says. When we are going to get the results from what he says, we should have another 3 qualifications. We should have other 3 qualities in our life. What they are? They are very important. The very first one is active listening. Suvacha. We should be gently spoken. Second, we should be honest. Third, wisdom. We should be wise. These 3 things are very important when we have a good friend. And little by little we are going with him with this understanding. When we listen to Buddha's message, we should understand vision and mission. Every institute, every place, every person, every country has a mission and vision as well. Both of them are very important. But they are vision and mission. What is the vision? Vision means our final goal, our purpose, our destination. We should know where we are going to. That is very important. The second one, mission. What is the meaning of mission? Mission means what we should do to achieve the destination. What we should practice if we want to gain the results. Both of them are very, very important. Vision and mission. When we have a good friend, when we listen to Dhamma, we should understand what is vision and what is mission. Both of them are very important. According to Buddhism, Buddha says, Janato aham bhikkhave passato asvanam kayam vadami no ajanato no apassato. I proclaim the liberation for those who know the path, who see the path. That is why Buddhism emphasizes the importance of knowledge. Knowledge is wealth. Knowledge is very important as a light. And what is the point of view of Buddhism? What is the Buddhist vision? Buddhist vision means it can be divided into two. One of them is understanding the karmic force, action and reaction. The second vision is that understanding the path, how we overcome suffering completely, the dependent origination, Patisamuppada. Understanding the karmic law or Kamma Sakata Sammaditthi and the Chatusatya Sammaditthi or the understanding of the dependent origination, Patisamuppada. This is the vision at the beginning we should achieve, we should gain. Next, mission. What is the mission? Mission also can be divided into two. One of them is that practicing 3 meritorious deeds. With the understanding of the karmic law, we should practice 3 meritorious deeds as much as we can. What are the 3 meritorious deeds? Dana, Sila and Bhavana. Practicing generosity, practicing moral conduct, discipline in our speech and behavior, and practicing loving kindness or meditation. The more we practice these 3 meritorious deeds, the more we purify our mind. The more we purify our mind, the more we are happy. The results come in this immediate life, not only hereafter. Some people may think that when we practice good deeds, the result will come in next life. But Buddhism emphasizes the importance of practicing good deeds. Then we can see the results in this immediate life. That is why Buddhism says some qualities of the Dhamma is Sanditthiko Akaliko. Dhamma is well expounded, visible results, Sanditthiko, and Akaliko, immediately effective. When you have moral conduct, good discipline, you can see the results in this immediate life. When you practice generosity, you can see the results in this life. When you practice loving kindness, you can see the beauty of your mind. These results can be seen in this immediate life as much as we practice. And here, if we have done good deeds in this life, it means we have confidence in what we have done. When we see the results, we are automatically encouraged by our activities. Then we are confident in what the Buddha taught. Then, in a day, we remember, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. We think it is our protection, refuge. When we think the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, when we think about the Buddha, his enlightenment, and his noble Dhamma, sublime truth, and his noble disciples, it is one of the ways that we can purify our mind. Actually, they are meditation techniques. Buddha Anusati, Dhamma Anusati, Sangha Anusati, and Chaga Anusati, they are meditation techniques that we can use to purify our mind and concentrate our mind. When we think Buddha's noble qualities, that is one of the ways that we can purify our mind and generate positive thoughts. When we think the qualities of the Dhamma, what the Buddha taught, that is also one of the ways that we can practice to purify our mind. Contemplating on the qualities of the Sangha or noble disciples of the Buddha is also one of the ways to purify our mind as a concentration meditation technique. And it means if we live with this understanding and practicing those qualities, it means we can live happily in this life, and also we have a guarantee that we never go to a lower realm world, apaya or hell realms. Actually, that is the very good guarantee, safety, security that we have than our life insurance. And this is the very first step. How we succeed this life and the path to a blissful life is the very first step that Buddhism has explained. But this is not the only teaching that Buddha has explained. Why is that? Even though we practice these activities, sometimes we are unable to overcome suffering. When we are going to old age, sicknesses, death and separations, at the moment we are suffering. We are unable to overcome these challenges. Buddha has explained very clearly. There are 3 reasons that we need a sublime truth and that we need the spiritual teacher. Buddha says there are 3 reasons why we should find a spiritual teacher and his sublime truth. What they are? There are 3 challenges that we have in our life that an ordinary person is unable to overcome. What they are? They are aging or old age or decay. That is the first one. Second one is death. Third one is birth. These are the challenges that we have to face in our life, whether we like or not, whether we believe or not. This is the truth. Buddha explains these are the reasons why we should find a spiritual teacher and his sublime truth. That is why Buddha has proclaimed the second step in his teachings, why we should become the liberation, how we become the liberation. Then we have the path. What is that? That is mindfulness. Mindfulness is not a simple topic in Buddhism. When we discuss mindfulness, a lot of people discuss in the current society about mindfulness. What they say as mindfulness? They may say that forget your past, forget your future, live in the present moment. That is mindfulness of theirs. But it is not the real meaning of Buddhist mindfulness. If it is true, even children and animals should have overcome suffering because they don't think their past or future. They live in the present moment. Are they enlightened persons? No. Actually here it is very important to understand what is the real meaning of mindfulness in Buddhism. If you can understand, if you can listen into what's the real meaning of mindfulness, actually you are the so fortunate person in the world. You are so blessed. Here it is very important to understand there are 3 things. There are 3 things in mindfulness in Buddhism. What they are? Satipatthana, Satipatthana Bhavana, and Satipatthana Bhavana Gamini Patipada in Pali. It means, Satipatthana means mindfulness, living in the present moment with the awareness of our body and mind. That is only the first step. The second one, Satipatthana Bhavana, mindful meditation. That means reflecting on impermanence, the arising and ceasing of our body and mind. Reflecting on impermanence. That is the second step. The third one, Satipatthana Bhavana Gamini Patipada. The path to mindful meditation. These 3 things are very important. Did you understand it?
look forward to your elaboration. I didn't get the third one very clearly.
The first one is mindfulness.
Yes.
The second one is mindful meditation.
Yes.
The third one, the path to mindful meditation.
Path.
Yes. Mindfulness, mindful meditation, and the path for mindful meditation. Three of them are very important. Little by little we are going to discuss it. Okay?
Okay.
The very first one is mindfulness. Mindfulness means awareness of our body, feelings, consciousness and mental objects. Kayanupassana, the contemplation of body. Vedanupassana, the contemplation of feelings or sensations. Chittanupassana, the contemplation of consciousness or mind. Dhammanupassana, the contemplation of mental objects. These are the things that we should focus on, that we should be aware of. That is the very first step. The second one, mindful meditation. In the discourse of mindfulness, it says that Kaye Kayanupassī Viharati. Again, it says that as Samudaya Dhammanupassī Viharati, Vaya Dhammanupassī Viharati. We should be aware of arising of five aggregates, arising of four things, and we should be aware of ceasing of these four things. Reflecting on arising and ceasing of body, feelings, consciousness and mental objects. Third one, the way of mindful meditation. What is that? It means understanding of the Four Noble Truths. How suffering arises, how suffering ceases. Understanding the Four Noble Truths depends on understanding the dependent origination, Parisampada. And understanding the dependent origination leads to understand Four Noble Truths. Understanding Four Noble Truths leads to practice fourfold mindfulness. These three things are interrelated. What they are? What they are? Understanding the dependent origination, Four Noble Truths, and fourfold mindfulness are interrelated. We are unable to separate them. If we want to practice the path of liberation according to the what Buddha taught, what they are? Understanding the dependent origination or Patisampada, and understanding Four Noble Truths, how suffering arises and ceases, and the other one is practicing fourfold mindfulness. These three things are interrelated. The more we understand the Four Noble Truths, the more we understand the dependent origination. The more we understand the dependent origination, the more we practice the Four Noble Truths. These three things are very important. And here, the three qualities are very important, as I mentioned before. What they are? Wisdom or intelligence, honesty, and active listening. These three things are very, very important. And here, little by little, we are going to the deeper level. Here, very first, we understand what is our life, what our life is, what the nature of our life is. What our life is? Our life is our five, our six senses and six external objects. Eye, forms, ear, sounds, nose, smell, tongue, taste, body, feelings, mind and mental objects. This is our life. These six internal senses and six external objects arise at the moment, according to our mental condition, according to our ignorance, actions, desire. These six senses and objects arise at the moment. When we look at something, we think that I see something as it is. It is the ordinary level understanding. But it is not true. If we see something, actually that is the nature of our ability of our eye. If you can see something, if you have inability to see something, then you can see only few things. If you are blind in colors, you are unable to see some colors. Whatever we see, it means that is the ability of our senses. That is our world. Now you can see only 8 or 9 persons here. That is the ability of your eye. When your eye changes, sometimes you may see more people here, more beings here, like ghosts, divine persons like that. That is the truth. According to conventional truth, Samudaya Satya, we think that what we see, that can be seen by everyone. That is the point of view where we were an ordinary person. But according to absolute truth, whatever we experience, that is the ability of our six senses. That experience arises at the moment. Now when you look at me, sometimes you are pleasant, sometimes you are neutral. Just now. How would if I blame you with some bad words? What happens to you? Then when you look at me, your senses are different. Then you see my body in another way. Why is that? According to our mental condition, our delusion, actions, and attachment or desire, suddenly our senses change. That is the nature of our life. Whatever we experience as objects, sounds, smells, like that, all of them arise at the moment. They are not permanent. There are nothing which is ready-made in our spiritual world. In the, ordinary level, in the conventional truth, there are a lot of things we can see as ready-made things. But in the absolute truth, we are nothing, we have nothing which is ready-made. We create everything at the moment through our senses according to our present mental condition. This is the nature of absolute truth. When we experience something through our senses, the very first experience is the result of our previous actions. that very first experience is neutral. It is neither wholesome nor unwholesome. That very first experience arises very fast, instantly, and it ceases instantly. Then the second thought arises according to what we experience in first. Then that second experience, that with ignorance, says that there is something outside. There is some person outside. The very first experience we receive as a shadow, as a very primary level sound. But the second experience, second thought analyzes with our previous experience what we say. We always compare with our previous experience what we see just now. That second experience consists with delusion. When we think there is something outside, it means we are not away from suffering. Why is that? If we think there is something outside, when it changes, we are suffering. We are worried. What is the reality? Does Buddhism say that there isn't something outside? No. Buddhism doesn't say that neither there is something nor there is something. What Buddhism says? Buddhism doesn't say that there isn't something or there is something. Why is that? When we experience something through our senses, we can see, we can experience something. But it is impermanent. Why is that? Suddenly it ceases. Then we can say there is something or there isn't something. If we want to understand this reality without going extremes, there is something or there isn't something, we need to understand the dependent origination. This is the background of dependent origination. When we understand the Paticcasamuppada, we know very well that there is something or there isn't something. That is not true. Without going these extremes, we find the path, the middle path. This is the middle path. When we have this understanding with listening to the dependent origination, now we find the path. When we find the path, then we understand every moment what we experience is that arising of five aggregates. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Actually, this is the bottom level experience that we receive with everything. When we look at something, we think there is someone here. When you hear me, you think that there is a sound. But in the bottom level, we have only five aggregates. Rupa, forms, Vedana, feelings, and Sanya, perception, Sankhara, mental formations, and Vijnana, consciousness. These five things is the background. This is the background. This is the bottom level thing that we have. Like the, bottom level thing of an iceberg. When you see an iceberg, you can see only few things in upper level. But bottom level, a lot of things. Like that, our bottom level thing is like the, five aggregates. It is unable to see. We should see it wisely with our wisdom throughout what we are listening to. But the very surface level thing is we find our friends, relatives, books, vehicles, many things we find in the surface level. But the bottom level, what is the bottom level? only 5 aggregates. Those 5 aggregates are also not permanent. They are impermanent. They arise together, they cease together. When I see Mr. Will, if I am going to find Mr. Will, if I keep my hand in your leg, I can't reach Mr. Will. I find only 4 fundamental elements. These 4 fundamental elements, not Mr. Will. When you find your child, you may think that this is my child, I should hug him. But you can never hug your son. You hug 4 fundamental elements. Earth element, water elements, fire elements and air elements. Sun is inside. Mr. Will is in my mind, not in outside. In the outside there are only 4 fundamental elements. Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. That 4 fundamental elements are also not permanent. That also arises at the moment. That's the interesting thing. But the other people as scientists, they think that they have discovered that there are only fundamental elements outside. They can be divided up to atom. That atom is permanent. That atom can be searched by everyone, scientists say. That is true according to modern psychology, modern science. But according to Buddhism, we find 4 fundamental elements according to our present mental condition. For an example, now you can see this ball according to your present eye. If your eye changes, you can see through the wall. Then there is no wall here. This is the truth. And if we can understand this reality, we are hurried to practice this path. We are hurried to realize this truth in our life as much as we can. Why is that? If we are ignorant, we have to suffer in this life. We have to cry a lot when our relatives, friends, our properties change. We have thousands of time to cry and sorrow and suffer. That is why we are hurried to practice and realize and achieve this reality. Then we are able to overcome suffering in this immediate life before we die. That is the interesting thing in Buddhism. Other religions explain their liberation hereafter, after they die. They explain their heaven after they die. What's the difference in Buddhism? Buddhist liberation, Buddhist heaven. Buddhist heaven, Buddhist liberation can be achieved before we die. If we can change our attitude, if we can develop our wisdom, we can experience heaven or Brahma realm. We can realize, we can experience Nibbana, enlightenment, before we die. That is the difference in Buddhism. And however, with this understanding, now we are going to the deeper level to practice the 4 contemplations. Satara Satipatthana. The very first one is, with the understanding of the dependent origination, now we are going to understand our body and mind. What happens to my body and mind? The very first one is understanding or practicing Kaya Anupassana or contemplation of body. Buddha has explained here there are several things that we can realize here, contemplate on here. The first one is Anapanasati. When we are going to understand our physical body, the very first thing is understanding our breathing. We are aware of our breathing in and out. When we breathe in, I know that I am breathing in. When I breathe out, I contemplate on that I am breathing out. I focus my mind to breathing in and out, living in the present moment. Now I don't think my past or future. I completely focus on the present moment with breathing in and out. Breathing in, breathing out. Actually, this Anapanasati or breathing is not focused on our, our stress management. Now we start the path of liberation. It is not a very simple, purpose. We have a very higher purpose, higher goal. What is that? Liberation from all sufferings. That is the path that we are on. It means if we have the highest goal, we can see other results too on the path, on the way. That is the interesting thing. If we find only very primary results, we have only the final, very primary results. If we have a higher goal, then, while reaching the final goal, we can see other primary results too. Here, breathing in and out, we contemplate on. And also, when we breathe in, breathe out, this is the concentration meditation. Here, be sensitive, be aware of that. Here we learn concentration and insight meditation. Okay? Little by little we are going to deeper level. You should be aware of what I am saying. If not, you miss something. Okay? Very first we start here with concentration meditation. If we focus on breathing in and out, it means concentration meditation, samatha bhavana. Then we think the breathing rises and ceases at the moment. It doesn't belong to a particular certain person. This is only a process. This is only an act. This doesn't belong to a certain person. This breathing is not mine, myself. We think, we reflect on impermanence, arising and ceasing of our breathing and our body. What is that? That is Satipatthana Bhavana, insight meditation. Satipatthana means, mindfulness means concentration meditation. Mindful meditation means reflecting on arising and ceasing is that. Contemplating on impermanence is like, Vipassana Bhavana, insight meditation. We practice both of them at the same time. In one side we practice concentration meditation, on the other side we practice insight meditation. Next we are going to another place, Iriyapata. Iriyapata means mindfulness of the four postures. We behave with four postures. What they are? Sitting, standing, walking and lying down. Gacchanto va gacchami iti pajanati. If someone goes somewhere, he knows that I am going somewhere. And tittanto va tittahami iti pajanati. When he stands somewhere, he knows very well, now I am standing here. Nisinno va nisinnomi iti pajanati. When he has taken a seat, he knows very well, I am sitting here. Sayano va sayanomi iti pajanati. When he is lying down, he knows very well, now I am lying down. Now he does everything with awareness. Now he has entered the field of the Buddha. He does everything with awareness. When he is sitting down, he knows very well, I am sitting down. When he is standing, he knows very well, now I am standing. When he is walking, he knows very well, now I am walking. When he is lying down, he knows very well, now I am lying down. We behave mindfully with four postures. Here we know, we understand, these postures are not a particular person. These four postures don't belong to me. This is only a process of my life, and he doesn't take it as certain or as permanent. And he understands, first he focuses on his postures, four postures, then he reflects on impermanence, arising and ceasing of these postures. It means he practices insight meditation. And next, he goes Sampajanya Pabbha, mindfulness of clear awareness. Whatever he does from waking up to sleeping, he does everything mindfully. When he eats something, when he washes his face, when he eats something, when we cook something, whatever he does everything with mindfulness. He doesn't take anything as permanent. He doesn't take anything as an ego, as a self. He sees these things as a process. He focuses on impermanence. Then little by little he goes to the deeper level. Patikula Manasakara. It means mindfulness on the repulsive parts, or the awareness of the impurity of our body parts. Kesa, Loma, Naka, Danta, Tacho. Kesa, hair, Loma, skin, hair, Naka, nails, Danta, teeth, Tacho, skin. There are 32 body parts we reflect on as impurity. Then it is one of the ways to overcome lust. Not only that, but when we reflect on these body parts, that is one of the ways that we can practice to concentration meditation. That is one of the ways that we develop concentration meditation. Here we don't take anything as permanent, as mine, as my. Again, Dhatu Manasikara. Mindfulness of the four elements. Earth element, water element, fire element, and air element. We contemplate on that my body consists with these four fundamental elements, Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo. You know, while we are walking, when we practice walking meditation, we can think it. My body is made with these four things, Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo. Earth, water, fire, and air. Again and again we think it and we concentrate our mind on this object. Then we think these things arise with the conditions, they cease when conditions separate. These four fundamental elements are not mine, myself. Then the next step is that the contemplation of 9-channel ground. After we die, from our death to become a skeleton, what happens to our body? We contemplate on that. Little by little, this physical body is going to the skeleton, In the, current society, we can see it. But this, when someone doesn't bury or doesn't burn our body, this is the nature of our body. We think it. Then we can overcome a lustful desire in one side. The other one is contemplating on these 9 things is one of the meditation techniques that we can use to concentrate our mind. And when we contemplate on these things like breathing meditation, dhatu manasikara for elements like that, when we practice these things, what happens to us? We realize what our physical body is. We don't take it as my mind, myself. Practicing Kayanupassana, the contemplation of body leads to realize Rupa Khanda, the aggregate of form. The more we practice Kayanupassana, the more we understand the aggregate of form, Rupa Khanda. Then we are going to the next level, Vedananupassana, the contemplation of feelings or sensations. When we have pleasant feelings, we know very well I have these feelings. When we have unpleasant or painful feelings, we know very well now I have these kind of feelings. When we have neutral feelings, we know very well that I have these kind of feelings. When someone has a painful feeling, he knows very well now I have a painful feeling. When he has a pleasant feeling, he knows very well now I have a pleasant feeling. When someone has a neutral feeling, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, he knows very well I have neutral feeling. Not only he focuses on feelings, but he reflects on impermanence of feelings. Feelings are not permanent. When you sit here for a long time, sometimes you have pain in your legs. But when you change it, suddenly it changes. It is not permanent. Feelings arise because of combining our body or our senses and other objects. Spasa. Because of spasa, because of coming together, we have the experience. That experience is also impermanent. That experience, that feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, are not mine. They are not myself. They are not my ego. When we have this understanding, we know very well how feelings arise and how feelings cease. Practicing Kayanupassana, the contemplation of feelings leads to realize, Vedana Skandha, the aggregate of feelings. Then we are going to the next level, Chittanupassana, the contemplation of mind or consciousness. When our mind has some kind of conditions, we know very well, now my mind is this kind of thing. Saragang va chittan, saragang chittanti pajanati. When my mind is lustful, I know very well my mind is lustful. When my mind is angry, I know very well now my mind is angry. We are aware of our consciousness in the present moment. First, we focus on the present condition of our consciousness, then We reflect on impermanence, how our thoughts arise and cease. That present thought is not permanent. It is impermanent. Now my mind is lustful, then suddenly it changes to another way. Next time my mind is neutral. Another time my mind is angry. This is the nature of the mind. With this understanding, we don't take our mind or consciousness as myself, my ego. With this understanding, we see the conditions which cause us to arise and cease of this nature of this of our body and mind. Practicing Chittanupassana, the contemplation of consciousness leads to realize Vijnana Khandha, the aggregate of consciousness. Finally, we are going to practice Dhammanupassana, the contemplation of mind objects. Actually, this is a very wide topic. Even though we talk full day, we can't end this topic. This is a very vast topic in Buddhism, Dhammanupassana. Dhamma is a very wide concept in Buddhism. However, let's talk it as, in short. However, here, now we are going to reflect on mental objects. What is the difference between Chittanupassana and Dhammanupassana? The contemplation of consciousness and the contemplation of mental objects. Consciousness is like water. Mental objects is like what we add to our water. Coffee, tea, sugar, like that. Both of them are together. We are unable to divide them. We realize them by wisdom, according to what we heard throughout listening to Dhamma. In the physical world, we are unable to divide. We are unable to divide mind and mental formation. We do it with our wisdom, according to what we heard. Mental formations means not only negative thoughts, but here we contemplate on even positive thoughts too, such as 6 spiritual faculties. In one side, we contemplate on that when I have 5 hindrances, such as sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and scrupule, this and skeptical doubt. We think these things again and again. When my mind has sensual desire, I know very well now I have this sensual desire. And I know the way how I overcome this negative thought. And also, if I haven't kama chanda or sensual desire, I know very well how it doesn't come again. When we have these negative thoughts, we know very well now I have those things. When they are not in my mind, I know very well how they don't come again. Now we are fighting with them. How do we fight them? We develop, wisdom. If this room is dark, we are unable to remove darkness. What should we do? We have to light a candle. We have to put on the switch of the light. Then automatically the darkness disappears. In the primary level, we use some techniques to overcome lust and anger. But we can only do some kind of levels. when we are going to overcome those negative emotions completely, we have to light the candle of wisdom. When we reflect on impermanence as arising and ceasing of our all experiences, mind and body, mind, feelings, consciousness and mental formations, when you reflect on this impermanence, at the moment, our mind has no space for negative thoughts. When you reflect on impermanence, your body arises at the moment, your mind arises at the moment, your feelings, mental formations arise and cease at the moment. If you think it at the moment, your mind doesn't depend on any outside things or persons. Your mind isn't fixed in anything in outside. At the moment we are lighting a candle of wisdom. Like that, then we think 5 aggregates, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, as they are impermanent. They arise together, they cease together. Next, we contemplate on 6 internal senses and 6 external objects. They arise together, they cease together. They arise at the moment, they cease at the moment. In one time we have one sense. When our eye acts, other 5 senses are dead. But we don't know it because our senses are very fast. Because our mind is very fast, we may think that all senses work together. But it is not true. When we look at something, only eye acts. The other 5 senses are dead. It means they don't act at the moment. But suddenly the first experience is us, then we think according to what we see, what we saw. This is the nature of our life. We contemplate on this reality too as impermanent. Next, now we are going to contemplate on positive thoughts that we are generating in our mind, especially Sattva Bojjhanga, the 7 enlightenment factors. Sati, Dhamma, Virya, Piti, Passaddhi, Samadhi, Upekha. Mindfulness, keen investigation, energy, rapture, tranquility and concentration and equanimity. When we think, Sati, Dhamma, Virya, Piti, Passaddhi, Samadhi, Upekha. Mindfulness and keen investigation, energy, rapture, tranquility, concentration and equanimity. Those are the 7 enlightenment factors. And now the very high positive thoughts are generated in our mind. Now we are living in mindfulness completely. These positive thoughts are in our mind. Little by little we go forward, and here we understand the Four Noble Truths. First, we listening to Four Noble Truths as Suttamaya Jnana, the wisdom of fearing. Now here we see this truth. At the beginning of the Eightfold Path, Sammaditthi, right understanding, we listening to what the Four Noble Truths like. First, we got the address or map or navigator. Now here we are reaching the destination. Now we experience how suffering arises, how suffering ceases. With this understanding, Kayanupassana or Dhammanupassana helps us to realize Sanya Khanda and Sankhara Khanda. By practicing Dhammanupassana, the contemplation of mind objects leads us to realize Sankhara Khanda or the aggregate of mental formations. By practicing this path, the mindfulness, we realize, we comprehend what happens to my body and mind. Finally, what we realize? My entire life is arising and ceasing of five aggregates. We have nothing. Every moment, what we experience through our senses, it means these five aggregates arise together. When conditions arise, they cease together when conditions separate. Living in mindfulness is like living in the field of the Buddha. Whenever we are away from mindfulness, it means we are living in the field of the Mara or devil. Buddha says, Atta Deepa Bhikkave Viharatatta Saranana Anya Sarana. Dwell with yourself as an island, as a refuge with no other refuge. Dhamma Deepa Bhikkave Viharata Dhamma Sarana Na Anya Sarana. Dwell with the Dhamma as an island, as a refuge with no other refuge. How do we make a refuge? Our mind and Dhamma. Living in mindfulness. Living in mindfulness is making a refuge, making a land to live in. Whenever we are in mindfulness, it means no one or nothing can disturb our peace of mind. It means our mind is not fixed in outside anything or anyone. We completely depend on inside wisdom. It means we completely control our mind. This is the liberation that Buddha has proclaimed. Even though we have a lot of facilities and friends, actually we have no liberation. We are like in the prison. Even though we are in the prison, if we can live in this reality, actually we are free. We have liberation. This is the path to liberation that Buddha has explained for his 45 Buddha life.
So, if you have achieved the state of being, of purity and feeling, I suppose it's loving kindness, equanimity, all those things, those are still mind formations, aren't they?
Actually, it belongs to conventional truth. Now, when we practice mindfulness and mindful meditation, both are together, then we are in the absolute truth.
But it's still a sensation. You must still be
yes,
aware.
Yes, still we have sensation, but when we practice for sublime states, for example, when I think, may you be well, happy and peaceful, I find a person outside. But my mind is pure, but still I am in ignorance. Because I am in the samsaric circle, I think there is a permanent person outside. Even though I practice loving kindness, when you change, when you have problems, I may get upset. Because I depend on you. I have compassion. My mind is pure, but I am not away from suffering. Still I am in the samsaric circle. That is important in the primary level to practice conservation. But it is not the final destination. Buddha has explained at the beginning we should practice these samatha meditation techniques. It means it helps us to go to the next level. But concentration is not the final solution. When we practice metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy and equanimity, our mind is so pure and calm. We have no jealousy, we have no anger, we have no lustful desire. We are pure, our mind is pure. But still we are in the samsaric circle. Still we haven't overcome aging, death and rebirth.
So to kind of address what Barbara is saying, so is it that we still experience the five aggregates all the time, but we are aware, we are wise in knowing it, so we are not affected by it. Is that what you're saying? So reconciling the unconditioned with the conditioned.
How would you know at what point you had achieved the higher level? Because you've got the pure mind.
Yeah, actually, in the absolute truth also we can practice loving kindness. But we don't take something, there is something outside.
Yeah.
That is the way, that is the sign that we can think we are in the proper time, proper way, where we have liberation.
So wisdom is the highest of all because it guides us in terms of discerning this difference between conventional and the unconditioned.
Yes, the sign between conventional truth and ultimate truth. In the conventional truth, we can practice loving kindness. Then we can purify our mind, but still we think there is something outside. In the primary level, in the higher level also, we can practice loving kindness, but we don't take a person outside. At the moment we see, as soon as we practice loving kindness, we know very well that thought arises and ceases. We don't take it as permanent. That is the difference.
So we overcome self-view. We don't see the form aggregate as a self, the feeling aggregate.
Yes, actually even Arahantas can see some material things. But he sees that experience as the reflection of the mirror. As soon as someone sees the mirror and reflection, he knows very well the object is here. Like that, the Arahant can see something or someone. But as soon as he sees something, he knows very well this thing is created by myself at the moment. It is not the permanent thing outside. That experience arises at the moment. Even Arahantas practice loving kindness. They practice loving kindness, creating someone at the moment. Not only that, when we preach Dhamma, when Arahantas preach Dhamma, he doesn't see that there are people outside. He knows very well that I create the people outside at the moment. Creating people outside, I make a speech.
That doesn't mean to say he's not saying they don't exist.
Yes.
His
mind is not fixed in outside. But it doesn't mean that he is unable to respond to someone. He can respond.
And when you say he knows there is no one outside, and yet in the conventional sense there is someone outside, you're saying that the person outside is just as we are, a series of
five
changing. Yeah, we have five. Yes. It's moving all the time.
Just as we are not permanent, we are just a mass of sensations dependent on our body, our senses. Then we recognise the other person that we see out there is just a mass of mind formations, sensations, etc., and not permanent. Is that enough to just recognise that, or is it?
The important thing is that when we become the higher understanding, enlightenment, we don't think that there is someone or there isn't something. Both of them are extremes.
Yeah.
If we think there is something, that is an extreme. If we think there isn't something, that is also an extreme. This sound, when we hear this sound, we don't say that there isn't sound or there is sound, because we can hear it another time. If we affect something, we can hear it again. The interesting thing in Buddhism, with this understanding, we never say that there is something or there isn't something. Why is that? Buddha says very clearly, when someone sees the arising of 5 aggregates, he never says that there isn't something. If he sees that 5 aggregates cease at the moment, he never says that there is something. That is the highest attitude, understanding of an enlightened person.
I think I see.
Oh, you're enlightened then.
It is like that we are going to the mirror. When we go to the mirror, suddenly the reflection arises there. As soon as we go away, without remaining anything, it ceases.
I think what we come to know about ourselves not being a permanent, unchanging ego, whatever, that is just the same as every other person, and therefore there isn't a person, or there is a person means that there is a body and we can see it with our senses, etc. But that body is just like ours. It's not permanent, not to be attached to.
Yes, actually, anicca, dukkha and anatta. Anicca means impermanence, dukkha means suffering or unsatisfactoriness, anatta means egolessness. When we see impermanence, we know very well suffering and egolessness too. Actually, Buddhism has explained always that we should do only to reflect on impermanence. When we reflect on impermanence, automatically we realize your changing and suffering and egolessness. When we are aware of that, the experience that we receive at the moment arises and ceases at the moment. We are nothing to catch as an ego. Reflecting on impermanence is like the put off the switch of main switch. Then automatically other negative thoughts reduce. Jealousy, anger, attachment, lust, ego concept, everything are falling down. That is why Buddha says finally, we have to do only one thing that Buddha says, reflecting on arising and ceasing of 5 aggregates.
You're talking about them arising and ceasing in every moment.
Every moment.
Because sometimes it's interpreted over a lifetime, isn't it?
According to mindfulness meditation, actually from morning to night, every moment we are in mindfulness. Every moment we are reflecting on impermanence. It means from moment to moment we are reaching liberation. End of our life, if we are able to reflect on impermanence, at the very last thought, at the moment, be sure our death, our enlightenment and our passing away happen together. Happen at the same time. Okay, thank you so much for your good attention. This is our last sermon, and I am very happy to meet you here. And I did what I can do as my best. I think you receive some kind of benefits from these sermons. And also, I wish you to go forward on this path day by day. For that, I wish you live long with good health, good complexion and strength by the power of all the